Hi, and welcome to another episode of Can't Stop the Growth. I'm your host, Chad Peterman, and today we are going to listen to an excerpt from a Future Leaders Series meeting we did here at our company, Peterman Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing, which involves the concept of dreaming big and not limiting yourself. This is a big topic for me, as I have always been one to dream big and to not let anything hold me back when I'm dreaming, and I think it's just very important as we move through life to understand that we truly are the only ones holding us back from achieving that which we want to achieve. We'll jump right into the audio, and hopefully you learned something. Thanks a lot. I think we can all agree that dreaming itself and kind of writing what that perfect future for yourself looks like is a fun exercise. There again, I think when you're able to do that, the key is really your dreams, hopefully, are limitless. But I think that the important thing to remember is looking at what you're writing down, and are you limiting yourself? So by what you're putting down, what you think is possible, are you really challenging yourself? Are you really giving yourself the opportunity to be that person that you could be, should you want to go there? And then I think the other thing is consistently thinking about it. So are you consistently thinking about what you wrote down, what that image of yourself looks like? And for me, and the topic that I want to kind of get into today is that concept of self-image. And is our own self-image, is our own belief about what we are capable of, what we think that we are able to do, what other people have portrayed onto us as this is what you can do, is that holding us back from something that may be bigger? Something that may in the future lead to something that we may not have thought was possible, but we'd like it to be possible. And so a lot of the talk today is out of a book that was recommended to me a little while back, and then I kind of dove into it over this past week and a half, and is one of the, as far as foundational goal setting, like getting your mind right type of books, this book here, Psycho-Cybernetics by Dr. Maxwell Maltz, one of the most powerful things that I've read. And I say that coming from the perspective of there's a lot of books you can read that give you tips and set goals, achieve them, do this, do that. This really gets into how the mind works. It's deep in some parts. Some parts it lost me a little bit with the, how the brain is constructed and how it operates and things like that. But he always does a great job of taking some of these more complex, I guess you would call them medical terms and kind of processes, and really reduces them down to what you should be focusing on yourself as it relates to self-image, achieving goals, different things like that. And the one that struck me first is kind of how he opens up the book, is talking about self-image. And how do you view yourself? Are you limiting yourself? And the reason it was so powerful to me is simply because we here have seen it work. There again, when I think about this concept, I think about the vivid vision that we write each year and how we have accomplished literally everything on it to a T. One of the things the other day, which we've had in the past, but one of the goals that we put on there back when we first wrote it was we would have people coming here to find out how we do things because we do them that well. This past week was another great example of that. They're not the first company that's came over here looking for solutions. We had a company from Ohio, I don't know when that was, a little while back. These guys came in from Washington. There again, those things, when you first write them down, Well, how are you going to achieve that? Well, I can tell you, we didn't set out to I didn't start emailing people going, hey, you want to come visit our shop? Hey, you want to come? I mean, that would be, well, kind of dorky. But it happens. And he goes on to explain kind of why those things happen. And I think the biggest thing is we didn't limit ourselves. We kind of knew that we were going to grow and we were going to get better each day. And ultimately that growth and perfecting process and providing good service was going to lead other companies to find us. And they did. And that is just one example of kind of the countless examples that we have in that book, in that writing that we write each year. And there's just so many examples of where positive thinking, where that self-image, where we chose not to limit ourselves. We kind of set things out there that if you were to look back and think on that day that you wrote it, well, that's out there. That's going to take a lot. But we didn't limit ourselves by thinking, well, I'm not sure if that's possible, or, hey, we may or may not get there. We wrote it down and said, this is where we're going to be. And so I think that the exercise of writing down kind of your own personal future, kind of your own personal vivid vision, where do you want to be? There again, I have practiced this kind of inadvertently. This is kind of the first time I've actually someone's substantiated the concept and, well, I think I've been doing that. And I can imagine that most of you have probably done something similar that is somewhat like this in the past, where you've written down goals or, thought about in your mind things that you want to accomplish, places you want to be, whatever it is. But what he tries to do is then how do we harness the power of doing that? We all do it, but how do we harness the power of that to really put that on overdrive? And I think the biggest key is not limiting ourselves by what we think. And that is that all our actions and behaviors, and he does a great job of kind of pointing this out, and even our ability to do something are always consistent with our self-image. Do we believe in ourselves? Do we believe that we can do this? And I think that sometimes when you butt up against challenges that are I don't think we can do that, or there again, just that simple self-talk, that self-image that I may not be capable of this, I don't think I can do this, is going to ultimately limit you. The saying, whatever you think, you're right. So if you think you can, you'll probably find a way to do it. If you think you can't, you also probably find a way to not do it. And, the biggest thing for me is on the self-image piece is, that attitude of control. I often hear, people, I've always got bad luck, or, this doesn't line up, or God, when it comes to salespeople or technicians, or man, if I get the good calls, I think I'll be all right. Or, if everything goes right, I think I'll be good. And really what you're doing there in your self-image is you're giving up control of who has control over your life, over your success. And obviously, as you can imagine, that is fairly detrimental to how you're going to achieve things. And when you have that positive self-image, that, belief in yourself that anything is possible, I can do anything, I'm going to have to put the work in and start breaking this thing down so that I can achieve something, you essentially take control of your life. And I think so many people struggle with this concept because what's the easy thing to do? We've talked about this before in leadership, is as a leader, you have to take complete ownership over the people that you lead. You cannot say, well, if they figure this out, that'd be wonderful. He's just never going to get it. Well, okay. Well, whose fault is that? Can you take control if you want to ultimately be a great leader? If that is one of your goals, you're going to have to take ownership for yourself and for others as well. And so taking control, understanding that you are in control of every piece of your life. Are bad things going to happen? Absolutely. But Can we spin it into something good? Can we learn from it? Can we move forward and use it as kind of a springboard to do something positive? More than likely, yes. There is so many things in life that people can view as kind of I'm just going to quit. I'm just going to stop here. And I think that the people who achieve the highest goals, who achieve things that people thought weren't possible, are the people that just never enters their mind. Bad thing, okay, yeah, whatever, we're moving on. Yep, okay, that's fine. We'll figure out another way. Whatever it may be, that is critical. And it's critical to tell yourself this because a lot of the goal setting, a lot of the goal achieving doesn't happen because of outside influence. It doesn't happen because, I got a break. Something great happened. It happens right here, in between your ears. That's where you're going to achieve most of your goals. You're going to achieve them by what you tell yourself. You're going to achieve them because of what you tell yourself. And the critical part of this is that while all our actions, all our feelings, all our abilities are guided by what we think of ourselves, the best part about it is you can change that whenever you want. You could change it this morning if you wrote down something that would appear limiting, would appear that, I could probably get some more out of that. You can change that by simply writing something else down. Because at the end of the day, you're in control of what you wrote down, and you're in control of if you're going to achieve that. And he talks a lot in this and how the brain functions, and he talks a lot about our conscious mind and our subconscious mind. And what he talks about is that our subconscious mind is always trying to achieve goals. Always trying to achieve goals. So whatever you set, whatever your conscious mind sets in front of that subconscious mind, it's going to go after it. Now, the worst part is that you could set something negative in front of that subconscious mind, and it's going to go try to achieve it as well. Think about, he brings up the example of, an athlete is going to set positive things in front of his subconscious mind, and his actions, his feelings, his behaviors are going to reflect what that goal is and what he's striving for. Well, as he points out, an alcoholic also has goals. An alcoholic wants to find the next drink, wants to feel that sensation. Whatever it may be, he set goals in front of himself as well. Unfortunately, those are negative goals. And so the power of the subconscious mind is you yourself are putting those images of yourself, those images of your own ability, those images of what kind of habits you have. And the great part is if you find that you have negative ones, you can change it. Literally, simply by writing it down. Simply by thinking it over and over. That I am this type of person, I'm not this type of person. And that is the key to achieving things, because often people get, I'm just, I don't have that skill. I'm not any good at math. I'm not, are you, or do you just think you are? Because I'm pretty sure there's probably things in all our lives that we weren't good at one time, yet we said, I really want to accomplish this, and I know I can figure it out. And what did you do? You figured it out. You got really good at it. There are times in our lives when we are all going to be faced with things that don't appear to be easy. But the first step is thinking about yourself, and thinking about yourself in terms of, I can do this. I will do this, and here's the things I need to do day in, day out to get there. And so, you create these goals, these images, and I think sometimes people make the mistake of they create these goals for themselves, yet the self-image that they give themselves is not congruent with those goals. It's real easy to say that I'm going to wake up at 4 o'clock and go on a run every morning. I'm going to eat right. I'm going to, I'm going to do all these different things, but if in the back of your mind you don't think that that's what I'm actually going to do, that's what I'm capable of, that's what I will be in the future, then you're going to have a very tough time getting up because it's not congruent with one another. You've got to really understand who you're going to be. What are those goals that you're setting in front of yourself? What are those goals going to lead to? Who do you want to be? And how are you going to get there? You can't, it's kind of like, what do they say on, like reporting, like we deal with Service Titan and all of our reporting, and, we always say, well, junk in is going to equal junk out. The same thing goes for your goals. If you want a great report from Service Titan, you cannot, the input of the data has to be really good in order to get a good report out the back end. If we don't have any tracking or, tagging or whatever it is on the front end, our report is going to be not so great. And the same thing goes with your mind. What thoughts and images are you putting into your mind day in, day out? What are the habits that you have day in, day out? And are they positive? Are they going to lead you to where you want to be? And if they aren't, there again, the great part is you can change those. Now, it takes work, it takes practice. You're not going to just write it down and then all of a sudden wake up tomorrow and just be super motivated to do that. You're going to have to continually practice this. And I can tell you from my own experience, there's things in life that you want to change, things in life that you want to get better at, and it takes literally continual practice. And I know I've talked a lot about journaling and the such and writing stuff down and doing things like that. And this is where I do that. And I do that every morning. I'm writing to understand, to get clear in my mind what I want to do and why I want to do it. I had this, I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday morning, and everybody wakes up. Like if you start out on a Sunday, and I always start out like this, I'm going to have the most perfect week. I mean, Monday's going to look like this, Tuesday's going to look like this, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I got it all mapped out. I got my time blocking going on. I mean, I'm just like, this is the picture of productivity. Well, what happens Monday morning? Something is going off the rails. Tuesday, whatever it is, and your schedule gets off, and you wake up one morning and you're just not feeling it. God, I know that I want to be productive. I know that I want to be good. I'm trying to tell myself this, but it's like you're battling up against something. You just keep butting up against someone telling you, well, it'd be nice just to turn over and go back to sleep. It'd be nice if this cup of coffee actually worked and kind of woke me up and was going. And it was either Tuesday or Wednesday. I just felt like that, and I just said to myself, you know what? Let's just start writing down what's going on. And there again, I'm not telling you that if you've never wrote down anything that like tomorrow, if you start doing this, you're going to get this feeling. But there again, it's practice. I've got notebooks full of stuff where I've just written stuff down, and it's just what my thoughts are. I just wrote down, I am struggling this morning. This morning is going to be tough. But if I want to get the productivity out of today, I've got to turn it around. I've got to find what it is I'm after. So I wrote that down, just completely honest with myself. It's just myself. I'm just writing it down. I mean, you can't do any wrong. If you're terrible at writing, so be it. Who cares? It's your stuff. And then I focused in on what it was I was trying to do. Why was I trying to be productive? Well, as I've told you before, my biggest thing in my role and what I do is to impact people. So I took and I wrote down the 5 people I was going to make an impact on that day. So I knew I could consciously do that. I knew that aligned with what I wanted to be in the future. And that was to impact so many people as I possibly can. So I wrote down those 5 people, and I looked at my schedule and made sure that those were priorities on there. I think it was actually Wednesday morning, because I can think back of the 5 people perfect. Wednesday. And I wrote down those 5, and I made sure that I saw those 5, and I started just clipping them off, and I kid you not, my day started just rolling. Because there again, I was aligned with what I wanted to do. Now, do I fail at that? on some days? Absolutely. There are days when I can't like shake it. It's like a sickness that's over you that's just like, I want to be productive, but I cannot. Everything I'm doing is just going wrong. But on those days, the best thing that I can do that next morning is remind myself of who I want to be, who I'm going to be. And I do that by just writing it down. Just saying, hey, you know what? Yesterday was rough. I didn't do what I was supposed to do. It was just unproductive, and, I should have made this decision. I should have had this conversation. This meeting kind of went off the rails. But today's a new day. Let's start again. Let's get moving in the right direction. What is it that I want to do? Okay, perfect. What actions do I need to take today to get there? And there again, I encourage you to use what you wrote down if you want to revise it. There again, that is always something, if you've wrote it down, you can always go back and look at it. Remind yourself what it is that you are truly shooting for. Visualize it. This place and what we're building, what we're trying to do here, it never leaves my mind. Never. There again, am I consciously thinking about it every day, every minute? No, I'm not. But subconsciously, I've planted the image of what this place looks like 10 years, 20 years from now. I already know what it looks like. We're just building it there. But I'm not going to get there tomorrow. But what I can do is I can align with what I want it to look like. I can align today with the actions that I need to take to get us a little bit closer. And for me, writing it down and thinking about it, when you plant that in your subconscious, where you want to be, I'm telling you, it's the weirdest thing. And the first time that it happens, when you say to yourself, I'm going to plant this in my subconscious, and you wake up and you go, holy cow, wow, that really worked. And there again, we did this totally I didn't realize when we first sat down to write out the vision for the company, our goal wasn't like, I wasn't thinking like this. I wasn't like, what we'll do? We'll write this down and we'll plant this in our subconscious. This will be awesome. I can't wait to do this. No, we wrote it down to give everybody, to kind of just tell everybody what we wanted to do. We were really bad at that. We just kind of operated and, we didn't really have where we were going. But it aligned us. It was in everybody's subconscious, regardless of if they were thinking about it consciously on a daily. I can tell you, I don't think about what's in that document on a daily basis. But it's in my brain. I know where I'm going. And my actions, hopefully, on most days will align. The thing that helps align those better is by taking time to reflect on it. Reminding myself of what I need to do. What are those habits? What are those images that I need to hold on a daily basis in order to get where we want to go? And you can do that in your own personal life. You can do it in your work life. What do you want to do in your career? What do you want to do at home? What kind of parent do you want to be? There's no dream too big. If there's one thing that I pray for every day is that I can teach my daughter to dream as big as she can ever imagine. Because what I've found out is it's possible and you can do it. It's really fun. And I just hope that each of you too dream as big as you possibly can and don't hold yourself back. There's no reason to. Enough people are already doing that. They've already covered that. So there again, they're already holding themselves back. Don't be those people. Because ultimately, that's not the person who you could become. It goes back to that quote that we shared, which I keep on my screensaver. The definition of hell: on your last day on earth, the person you became will meet the person you could have become. That's what it's all about. What kind of image do you have of yourself? Where are you going to take yourself? Where are you going to allow yourself to take you? Because that's where it's at. It's right here in your brain. You can do what you think you can do.